Welcome to Try Not to Overthink It, where we explore the intricate landscape of mental health, well-being, and everyday life. I'm RJ.
I'm Unique.
And I'm Khalil.
Join us as we dive into insightful conversations, expert perspectives, and personal stories that shed light on the various dimensions of mental wellness. Whether you're seeking guidance, inspiration, or a deeper understanding of the human mind, this podcast is your safe space to engage, learn, and navigate the journey to a happier, healthier version of yourself. So today we are talking about submission in relationships. So this is a topic that you see all the time, all over the internet, where you have both males and females debating, submission, who should submit and how it should look and X, Y, and Z. So I thought it was important for us to unpack that topic today and talk about it. So what do you guys think?
For this episode, my name is Sister Mary Claire, and I'm Bible thumping because that's what we was doing. That's what we're doing today. So, Sister Mary Clarence, just call me that. What do I think submission is? I think submission is choosing a leader and choosing someone who is going to carry out the charge. You have the person that you're submitting to, i.e. the leader, and the people who leads the charge are those who are submitting. I don't necessarily know that, well, in my house, it's my husband, it's the leader, and then I lead out whatever we've decided. I carry out whatever has been decided, but in somebody else's home, that might be different. Come on, Bishop.
We started the show, folks. All I said is I know we need to also give the biblical definition.
Gather your Bibles, thing.
Because
the Bishop is talking.
No, because I look. I'm a new creation, but
a fire breathing.
I'm a new creation, but I still
Bible thumping.
Yeah, I still do messed up stuff. But God, His infinite grace, His mercy, has allowed me to clarify some things because everything needs to be put in context. So when people are like, "Yeah, wives need to submit to their husbands," what I'm saying is a biblical definition. When we get it,
give us the scripture, Bishop.
5:22 all the way, but you got to read it all the way down to 31, which people don't. They only take wives, submit to your own husbands as to the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, as also Christ is the head of the church, and he is the savior of the body. Therefore, just as the church is subject to Christ, so let the wives be to their own husbands in everything. But it also says, husbands, love your wives, just as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for her, that he might sanctify and cleanse her with the washing of the water by the word, that he might present her to himself a glorious church, not having spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that she should be holy without blemish. So husbands ought to love their own wives as their own body. He who loves his wife loves himself, for no one ever hated his own flesh, but nourished and cherishes it as the Lord does the church. For we are members of his body, of his flesh, and of his bone. All right. So we know for a fact that, yes, my wife should have a form of godly submission. She's not supposed to be some person. If I'm saying stupid things, right? I'm trying to spend up all our money and do something dumb, right? That, of course, she shouldn't listen. She should definitely say, "Hey, sweetheart, before we do that and lose all our money, all right, we need to come together and think about this." You get what I'm saying? It's not saying just do any old dumb thing that man says.
Yeah. Where my flag at? Because I feel like I'm gonna have some questions. I'm just gonna have my flag up when I need a question because I already see where y'all about to go.
So to me, my thought process on submission is that it's not about giving, because people have this negative connotation when they hear submission. They think that it's about giving up your power or your identity. It's not. It's just basically trusting your partner enough to allow them to lead.
Yes.
When you submit to somebody else, especially in a relationship, you're still in control over your life and whatever choices and decisions that you have. But you're trusting the other person to allow them to lead the relationship.
Right.
Now, what I do like about what you said, Khalil, was, because I personally feel that way myself. I personally feel that when it comes to relationships, my friend, he always says it all the time. Part of leadership is fellowship.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be one willing to follow somebody else. So, like you said, you got to be willing to follow God. So Tony Evans, who wrote the book Kingdom Man, he talked about that in the book, about how you can actually see your relationship with God as a reflection of your relationship with your significant other.
Wow.
And I never paid attention to that because, like, for most of us, when we want to lead as a man, I want to lead. I want to be in charge. I want to be the head. But when we don't have ourselves together and we're not submitting ourselves before God and we're not following God's tenets, how can I then turn around and expect someone to do the same for me? Right. How can I say, hey, when I say something, I need you to follow it? How can I say that when I yes, Unique, yes.
Ooh. Y'all really want to test my womanhood today? And that's okay. Somebody could be here for the girls.
I want you. What are you upset about, though?
I'm not upset. I just want to point a point from the Bible, Bishop, where you say in 5:22. But I think we got to take the full context of the word, right? Right above that, it says submitting to one another in the fear of God.
Yes.
Leadership, because I was just sitting at church. We had a meeting at church last night, and they were talking about leadership, and they came up and they said to be a leader, you have to be a servant. The mission is more about giving than it is about getting, because and we talked about this before, but I gotta bring it back because the fellas have said, right, as the leader, the buck stops with you. For all of the things.
All of the things.
So if you are looking for submission, you have to be willing to serve as the bearer of all of the said burdens of the people you wanting to submit to you.
Yeah.
Right? My child submits to me as the parent. In doing so, she has every meal cooked, every article of clothing provided for her, every bill, want, need, thought, all of it's covered. She even gets chauffeured. Why? Because she submits to my leadership.
Yes.
Okay. Yep. When things go wrong, it's my fault. When things go right, it's my fault. I think a lot of men, and I can only speak from this vantage point that I sit, this perch that I sit on, right? I'm not a man. I don't know what men think. But a lot of times what I've viewed at this vantage point is that men want submission, but they don't want the responsibility of being accountable for all of the things.
Well, just like the head coach of the football team, right? And you see that all the time if you watch the NFL, right? If the team starts doing bad, who do they fire first?
Head coach.
The head coach.
Right. They don't fire the all-star. They don't.
So think about it. If you want to lead, there has to be an ability to put some things on the line. You got to sacrifice some things to be the leader, and you
got to sacrifice most things.
Yeah,
well, I mean, accountability. Well, I mean, so the thing is, and we've had this conversation on numerous occasions, and I agree wholeheartedly with what Unique is saying. What you are describing, Unique, as the people that don't want the responsibility of the good and the bad, the failures, because people want to win all the time, but then people never want the asterisk of the loss.
Right.
And so when you are the leader, you're responsible for you shoulder the successes and the failures, not just the successes. And so what you described was a guy. You didn't describe a man. Like, as a man.
What I mean, an adult male is a man.
No. No. I'm telling you as a real man, there's classifications to being male.
Right.
So as a man, you handle the responsibilities that are yours, they're yours. You step up and you do them regardless if you feel like it, regardless if you want to, regardless if they feel good. You feeling it today, you step up and you step into that gap. But the issue where a lot of us, and this is where I blame both people in the relationship, both the woman and the man, is because I had this conversation with my coworker. There's when you look at relationships like traffic, driving in traffic, if you're driving through the city, you're going to come up at some point in time, you're going to come up to a traffic light. Green, yellow, red. Green means go, yellow means slow the hell down, red means come to a fucking stop. But for most of us, huh?
Yellow means hurry up and get through the intersection.
No. Yellow means slow the hell down. But what happens is, what always blows my mind is people will, after the fact, they have all of these insightful thought processes of how it was the man's fault in the relationship. But my thing is, like I told my coworker, when you got with this person, you saw all of the signs, the red lights, the yellow lights. You should have slowed the fuck down when you saw the yellow lights and made a U-turn. And let either Siri or whoever your navigating device recalculate for you. But what happens is there are certain things that we find attractive about the other person, and we overlook the yellow and the red lights until we're in a full-blown total collision where our car's totaled out. Now we got to figure out all these different things, and then now we're trying to unpack these different things of how I ended up here. You ended up there, both males and women, through choices. And I think that when it comes to submission in a relationship, there's a lot of things that go into that. It's not just, hey, I'm anatomically the male, so I'm in charge. No. And like for both of you guys alluded to this of mutual respect. It has to lead with that. Has to lead with the mutual respect of, hey, yes, I am leading, but also your opinion is just as important as my opinion. That's number one. Number two, you have to be very selective about who you are allowing to lead you.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, even for me as a man, as I said before, part of leadership is fellowship. I got to be willing to submit and be willing to follow other people if I'm expecting to receive that in return. But as a guy, you being in the position, you being in the spot, I will, even if I don't like you, I will respect the spot that you're in. Right. I will follow you because you are in charge. But when you start to reveal to me that, hey, you're not the best leader, I don't have, as I said earlier, the trust in you. Because trust is given through deeds, not through words. You can say to me all day, I got this. But when you execute to me and exhibit to me that you do not have this, right? Guess what? I need to start making a decision if I'm going to continue to follow you or not. Mm-hmm. And so that is where for a lot of us, when I hear males on the internet go on about how a woman should submit to the man, I do believe that when you are in a relationship, because I pointed this out to my coworker as well. I said, just imagine it being like a crowded work meeting, and you're the lead, and you're leading the meeting. You assign a task to somebody. The person immediately responds, "Why I got to do that? Why do I have to do that? Why me?" And just imagine you go through this entire list of taskings that you have to assign out, and every person responds back with why I have to do it. You then have to justify to them why they have to do the job.
No, see, that's the wrong approach, right? Because I've been in that situation, and I've had people ask that, and you know what I tell them? You don't have to do it. You just won't work here and not do it.
Right.
And that's what I'm getting to is how productive would that meeting be if you had to do that with everybody?
No, it would only happen once.
And so, like, when it comes to things,
it only happened one time. But to your point, right? To your point, I think that's something that has to be considered prior to you saying I do.
Mm-hmm. Right? Even before you say I do, when you're in the courtship phase, like,
well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. You gotta. It has to be something where not saying who's going to be responsible for what, or a little bit of who's going to be responsible for what. You gotta identify in this space what is our goal together.
Right.
Right. As the lead in this ship, where are we trying to get to? Mm-hmm. Me and my husband can ride in the same car, right? There's always only going to be one driver and always only going to be one passenger in the car we drive. We don't have a 2 steering wheel vehicle, right? Okay, but the destination is the same. If we both say we're going to church, I might have a better way to get there, right? I might be looking on my phone and I can see the traffic like, hey, babe, there is a slowdown. Ultimately, I'm trusting him to get us there. Mm-hmm. But we've both communicated the goal point. A lot of people have a problem submitting because, one, they have not communicated the destination that they're trying to get to. They're arguing about how to get there, so they're getting caught up with, all right, how we gonna do it? And then two, not trying to get into roles of who's supposed to do this, who's supposed to do that. But you're not respecting the fact that somebody's gonna have to be the one actually driving. There are times when I drive my husband places. And when I'm the driver, I make decisions that I believe are going to be best for the collective. Not what's going to be best for me.
Right.
Now, I'd be like, okay, I might not know the way that he's giving me. So in that scenario, if you have a better way, I'm going to listen to the way you have it, because my ego is not big enough where, well, I'm the one driving now. I don't say nothing when you drive, because we've seen that. If we're putting it into real life scenarios in relationships, people get into these cute little relationships. Well, when you was paying the bills, I didn't tell you how to pay it.
Right.
When you was cleaning the house, I didn't tell you how to clean it. When you was disciplining the children, I didn't tell you how to discipline. The goal has to be set before the game begins, before the destination is discovered. You got to say what you want, because once the game has started, once the destination has started, it's too hard then to come in
change the rules.
and change the rules. You can't do that. It's too hard.
Unique, I'm going to say this. All right, what you said earlier, you said coming together and collectively, all right,
Yes.
for the common goal, doing this collectively, right? But what we don't talk about a lot here, unless you're a social worker, is that we're in an individualistic.
Yeah, he had to put that in quote.
We're in an individualistic culture, right? And I think that gets lost because all of our ancestors, no matter where you come from, whatever your genetic makeup, background, culture, whatever, most of us come from a collectivist cultures. Most of us, from the beginning
Even
of time.
when I came from heaven, that's how it was. It was all the angels together.
Collectivist. But that's the way that you know that we've lost sight of what we're supposed to be doing as couples, right? When I come together with you, we should have a common goal and we should be working together. We talked about it before in another episode. You might be better in one area than I am. All right. And I have to be able to acknowledge that. Oh, baby, you're real good with direction. So I'm going to have you navigate. You know what I'm saying? I'll drive you. Let me know where to go. You know, because we work in tandem. We work collectively together so we can get to that end goal, that point, destination. You know what I mean? In the logistics, I don't care about the logistics because you handling that for me. All right. You're helping me understand how to navigate through this. All right. That doesn't mean that I'm any less than, because there's something I'm better at. If that car breaks down, when me and my wife goes in with a car, I know I have to change the tire. I'm hopping out. And I'm pretty fast at it too. Well, guess what? I don't expect her to do that. All right. I'm going to go do that. But like I said, she's better at directions than me. So I expect her to do that. And we work together in tandem. And I think people don't want to do that. It's like a competition almost. You know, I've been in relationships with people and I feel like, well, we in a competition? You know something better than me? Well, that's fine. Because the type person I am, I'm gonna put you to work since you know it better than me. I don't understand.
Go ahead.
No, my dad used to. I'm not gonna say what he would say because I think that has aged out given our climate. But he said you can't be in a power struggle with your mate. Yeah. I've cleaned it up because my dad is very.
He said something else. I know what he said.
I know what he said.
I know what he said.
Y'all read between the lines, but my husband, when I got married, early in my marriage, and if many people knew me prior to marriage, I was very independent. I'm a very independent woman, and my dad told me, Unique, you cannot be in a power struggle with your mate. It does not feel nice, and it is hard to make wise decisions when you're constantly trying to fight for power.
Right.
And I think that's something, Khalil, that you're talking about, being in this power struggle. My husband does not get into power struggles with me about grocery stores. I don't know when I fell in love with the grocery store, but I did. Me and that thing, we locked in, baby. And my husband wants to go to the same exact grocery store. He wants to get the stuff that I buy. I'm like, baby, you can get any bagel. No, this is not the bagel you buy. I just picked a bagel. No, I want to get the exact same bagel from the exact same store. Baby, you can go to any Kroger. No, I want to go to the Kroger
I
you
like
go to.
everything bagel, just for y'all to know. I like everything.
Listen, okay, we'll keep that in mind when we're all united together.
Yes.
But yeah, that. But to that point, Khalil, that's a power struggle that we don't get into.
And it's not.
We,
It's a waste of time. Why would we?
it's a, we don't. I don't discuss who's going to change the oil.
Right.
It's always my husband.
Is
Because if I change the oil, our cars would be sitting down.
well,
So,
who has the free time as well to do certain things too? You know what I'm
I
saying?
will help him make time.
Right.
what I like about what you guys both talked about was the communication piece, but also the power dynamic piece. You Communication is key in keeping any relationship alive, regardless if that's a romantic relationship or a business relationship. Without communication, there is nothing else. And so, being able to communicate from the very beginning of what the expectation is from each party, I think, is what will keep you from butting heads later on down the line. In
Mm-hmm.
regards to the power dynamic piece, it goes, it kind of goes back to something Unique and I have had a conversation with about a while ago, where we were talking about how, like, for us as men, for me, I'm very critical of us as men because, again, like, I saw what right looked like. My father, did the things he was supposed to do. We may not always agree all the time. We may not see eye to eye, but seeing a good example of what a man is supposed to do has set that standard for me of how I should carry myself as a man. And so, like, like I was telling her, it's kind of like being qualified for a job. So where a lot of us find ourselves being in these struggles, these power struggles over who's leading who and who's doing what in the relationship, is because of the fact that when you get into a relationship, the expectation is here. So the expectation is the man is supposed to lead, and then the woman should be right here, walking in tandem with him to be able to offset him. We can't be the same person, because if we're the same person, no one's ever going to tell me that my ideas are bad ones.
Right.
So I need
Mm-hmm.
you to be different than me to be able to tell me something different, so I don't lead myself to
Right.
destruction and lead you with me.
But
But
people
also,
can't handle constructive criticism. They get
but
defensive.
but the reason most of us have those power struggles is when we are not operating as men, because I can only speak for us as men, because I've only ever been a man.
Right.
When we're not operating in that space, we're not operating, to our calling, we're not operating to our highest level of potential. What ends up happening is we force people who are not qualified to be the man to step
Mhm.
into the role of the man. And so
Mhm.
now you're having to not only be you're having to, as a woman, say hypothetically Unique and I are together. Me not doing the things I'm supposed to do, I've now forced her to step into the role that she wasn't called or is qualified to do. So I'm expecting her to do things that she's not qualified to do. That's like you expecting me to do neurosurgery and I ain't never been to school for that. So
Right.
you're expecting me to
I
go
mean,
up and cut into somebody's brain, and I'm not qualified, nor do I have the credentials to be able to do those things. And so
mm-hmm.
what happens is, when we finally meet someone who is operating in that space, who is operating in that place, who is doing the things that they were called to do, you, as a person that has gone through these different relationships, these different interactions with other guys, and then now
Mm-hmm.
you are now coming into a relationship with a man who is doing the things that you're supposed to do. You find yourself at a juxtaposition, because I'm so used to doing things the way that I've been doing things, because I had to
Right.
get it, because I couldn't trust
Mm-hmm.
anybody else to do what they were supposed to do.
Mhm.
And so
Right.
because I couldn't trust them, I had to do it. I always had to lead. And so now people have to unlearn maladaptive behaviors,
Mhm.
because
Come
this is
on
what I had
now.
to do to survive.
Mm-hmm.
And because me and Anna had this conversation before too, because Anna's like, well, it's on me. You're absolutely right, it's on you. But when you get with a man who is doing the things that he's supposed to do, and is operating in the space that God told him to operate in, you'll
Right.
recognize there are things that you won't even have to tell him to do. He'll just do them.
And he would have already done
He
it.
But you
will
know
he
what?
will
You know
know.
what? You know what? We talked about this before. That's the problem of the independent world that we live in, as
Mhm.
opposed to the interdependent world that we
Yeah.
live in,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Because imagine if the single mom, the single dad had the support of their community, right? Where as the single parent, you're not having to be the only person doing that kid's hair. You're
Right.
not the one responsible for picking the kids up from school. I watched a TV show. I think the TV show was called Parents, and
Mm-hmm.
it was about that. Like, it was a bunch of single parents and like moms and dads. It wasn't just mothers, it was single parents. And so on the show, they recognized, oh, you're a single parent like me. And so this group of parents, they would be responsible for picking up the kids. Like, they would have like carpools, and, well, you're good at hair, I'm gonna do the hair. And so that's kind of how they live. And then, of course, it was a sitcom, so it was some funny stuff that went along with the sitcom. But I love the portrayal because when it was time for people to get into relationships, one of the couples, I think a couple of the parents had ended up trying to hook up on the show, and
Mm-hmm.
they were trying to navigate through, okay, so now what does this look like? Do we still do things for the group, or do we do it for each other? And their kids even were like, we weren't used to there being a dad here.
Right.
Can I talk to you about certain things? And they felt comfortable because this was a man that they had already known. Or for the girls, this is a woman. So are you my mom now? I've always dealt with you as Miss Such and So in the neighborhood, but is it okay if I deal with the motherly stuff with you? So I think in those environments, when we find ourselves in unfortunate situations where you are having to do life solo or independent of other people, that is the time to get community.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not telling nobody to stay in a relationship that's unhealthy for them, to
Absolutely.
stay in a space that is abusing or harming you. But what I am saying is, if you don't have it, stop being so daggone independent. I had a guy who told me, it was a man I was dating at the time, said there's no trophy for doing it all by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely not.
You don't get
And it
nothing.
stuck with me. It stuck with me. That was probably a good 10 years ago. That has stuck with me. There is no trophy in doing it all by yourself. That's at work and family. Yes, Raja.
And see, this is why, like, Unique used to get so mad at me. So mad at me. I remember being in graduate school. She used to get so mad at me because I would call her my
Don't
little brother.
embarrass me.
She would get
Don't
so,
embarrass me on here.
she would get
Because
so
it's
mad.
disrespectful.
And it was
It's
never,
disrespectful.
and the reason, and the reason that I used to call her that, it was not to be mean or malicious, but the thing is, like, for most of us as guys, our thought process is different than yours as a woman. So our thought process is very linear. You know, men, we're very
Mhm.
simple. We're trying to get from point A to point B, and that's it. We don't care how we get there. We're just trying to get there. That's it.
Right.
You know, unique is very linear in her thinking. You know, I'm trying to get from point A to point B. That's all I'm trying to do. I don't care how I get there. Results don't matter. I'm just trying to get to that point. And I used to call her that, you know, like, hey, yo, you my little brother, man. Like, you need to chill out. Like, you need to chill out. Like, if she would get so mad, I'm not a guy. Stop calling me that. But the thing is, like, what she was explaining, you know, like, for most of us, you know, like, we go through that phase of the autonomy phase, of the independent phase of, you know, well, I can't really depend on nobody else, so I got to figure out how to do it. And I mean,
Mhm.
like, when me and Anna talked about this, I want to say earlier this week, she was like, shit. She was like, man, you know, if I just imagine if I had somebody, there would be so many other things that I'd be able to do. But, you know, she
Right.
was like, shit, I'm not trying to be independent. I'm trying to find somebody. But
And that's a
people,
process.
yeah, that's a process too. And I mean, I think that for a lot of people, they go through this thought process of giving up my autonomy when I submit to somebody else.
Right.
But see, that's what I'm
And
saying. If you have community, then that's not a problem. To your point of graduate school, I came into graduate school, just for some context. No shade, no tea. He is spot on, ladies and gentlemen. I know, okay, your girl was taking the world by myself. Just gonna take it
mhm,
on. But I'm the oldest child. I'm the oldest girl in my family. So I'm the oldest sibling and I'm the oldest girl. I'm the big sister of my siblings. So there's that. My mom was a teen mom. So you don't get there are no mulligans. You gonna do it right in the first time. Because
Right.
nobody ain't gonna shame me. And so then she got with my dad. So then I was the first. My dad was a Marine. So I'm the first of that union. I was the first one to first grandchild to go to college. First grandchild, I think, to finish. No, I didn't finish high school first, but then to get a master's degree. first grandchild to get baptized. I was always the first one to do everything. So there was no messing up. There was no trying to figure it out. You had to do it. You had to do it well. Okay. You were the example setter. So coming into adulthood, I carry that mantra of I gotta not only do it, but I gotta do it to a level of excellence that supersedes even that regular people get. So I came into graduate school and I meet a lazy person like Roger Mills, chronically
That's
lazy,
right, baby.
and I'm like,
Lazy King.
yeah, he was funny, so I kept him around as a friend, as comic relief. But what he taught me was, in order to make it through this trajectory, and without being stressed out, you're gonna have to have people to do that. My time at, I'll even say our school, Alabama A&M, would have been so much different if I did not build community with Roger Mel and some of our other friends. Mainly Roger Mel, because I think he was a semester ahead of me. But we took every class together.
Right.
It was not an option.
So he
Roger,
ended up being a resource for you. He ended up being a resource.
yeah, more than just a resource, Khalil. I passed my comps because Roger Mel said, I'm taking the comps, you're going to pass. Again, it wasn't an option of you're doing it by yourself. No, you're going to do it this way. This is what the group has decided. And we're graduating together. You don't have that option. We're graduating.
Right.
And that was the community that I think I was lacking. So like I was saying, just even Anna, imagine the ability to have a single parent network where you're not having to worry about some of that stuff. You got somebody finding coupons. You got somebody finding the mom group, right? Those single mom nights, because this is a real thing.
Yeah, it is.
We kidding, but it's a real thing where on certain nights you can go and drop your kid off at a church or a school. It's called Mom's Night Out. Imagine having a group that tells you, "Hey, Anna, it's Mom's Night Out this week. You dropping your kids off? Look, I'll come and pick your baby up. I'm gonna drop all the kids off. We're picking them all up. You got a group that meets for like drinks where the kids are upstairs playing and the mom's downstairs sipping a little something in the neighborhood where everybody can walk back to their own house. Imagine having that and then a husband stepping into that scenario where she already has that community. Oh, baby, you can have the trash.
Right.
Okay, because I know the trash man and I'm telling him I got somebody else who's going to be rolling these cans down to the sidewalk on Thursday.
Well, Unique, I want to touch on something you said before, right? Especially people who can relate to how your thinking was prior to going to college and having to be the firstborn, always having to do things right the first time. There's people who have that same type of mantra, that same mindset. And so it's difficult trying to start a relationship with someone when you're used to always trying to do the right thing and trying to take care of things the first time, and then you're having to combine with somebody else, right? Or you're having to try to establish a relationship and put trust in someone else when you're used to doing things on your own. That is a difficult space to navigate for any human being. But what happens is it creates, and you spoke to it earlier, almost a distorted type of thinking. If I don't do it, no one will do it. If I don't take care of this, nobody's going to help me. So technically, well, that's a thought distortion. And then when you get in this relationship, it's very hard to put some of those other responsibilities onto other people. It's hard to let go. There's a sense of control. So therapeutically, and I love the way you guys are talking about community and building trust, because I'm a social worker, I'm an advocate of that. But let's do it like the LPCs would do it. Let's think about therapeutically. It's hard for someone to.
Khalil, don't get popped. We'll pop you. We'll bank you. We'll bank you, Khalil.
Listen, I'm on another level right now. RJ already knows I'm on another level. I'm licensed. I'm about to try to get this LLC. I'm ready to go. So that's why I'm all on this therapeutic kick. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even worried about, look, I ain't even worried about any of that. I'm on therapeutic stuff right now. Right now, I want to get that person past the distortion, right? So when I'm sitting there in that place, not being able to trust people, not being able to let people in, I'm going to also be setting myself up for a breakdown. That is way too much responsibility for one person to have. And so that's why we have these power struggles in relationships, Because if I'm used to always doing it myself, and then I got, and it could be a man or a woman, whoever I got coming in, and they're actually already showing me that they have some flaws. Well, of course, I'm not going to trust giving over, all right, this control to that person. It's going to be a difficult thing for me to do.
Well,
Hold up. Time out for the podcast. Cause see, they don't like to celebrate things, but I do. Okay, so we're not just gonna skirt behind the fact that Khalil said he got his license. If you support us,
Thank you.
leave like a
Well,
little emoji, a round of applause, a congrats for our boy. He has joined the ranks of licensed therapists. So congrats, Khalil. Congrats.
so hopefully he'll get out of just providing people with resources and get into actually unpacking things.
look, that's why I switched, because you guys are doing the more social. A little therapy on them, because you know what I'm saying. I'm allowed to do that. Man, shoot, look, I'm diagnosing everybody. Look, everybody in my whole family, they got a diagnosis today.
You about the DSM? Your DSM about to have a crease in the back.
I got the pocket DSM-5. I'll pull it out on you right now.
Crease in the spine.
Yeah, and look, let me tell you what you are. I'm not that foolish yet.
No,
Yeah.
Khalil, you said a great point, right? My first boyfriend, God bless him and me. My first boyfriend told me he broke.
God bless him and me. Hopefully he received that.
Yeah, he did. We're still good friends to this day. Still call each other, and he buys me lunch every now and again. I buy him one sometimes when I'm feeling it in the spirit. But he broke up with me because he was just like, you don't need anything from me. And I did not understand that back then. That's why I said God bless me and him. I didn't understand the weight of what he was like, what he said. He was just like, you have everything. Like, you don't need me anything. Right? You're just too independent. And I think I was blessed to have men in my life, and just to date different men. And my husband's always like, here you go again, talking about all of your dating stories.
No husband wants to hear that. He's right.
But I tell my husband it was because of the awesome men that I had the opportunity. I think it was an opportunity to encounter. None of them, made it to be my husband. But I do think that the awesome opportunities I was able to learn from these men was being able to see there are people who want to do things for you. Mm-hmm. There are people who are interested in being your person in a way that's going to be validating, that's going to be respectful, where you don't have to do it all by yourself. And so that helped me to get into my marriage. So now that I'm coming into my marriage, in a lot of ways, my husband probably is like, no, girl, you could have did that. I'm like, can you please open this? He said, babe, okay, I'm going to show you one last time. You hit the bottom.
Hit the bottom. It's good.
I'm like, I'm married. I don't need that much structure.
But see, what I like about what you just said though was something I always talk to people about all the time, and it's about being mature enough to look at every situation for the learning experience, the teachable moments in that situation. Right. For a lot of us, our pride or our ego get in the way, and we only look at the bad instead of remembering the good. And I think that, and I was having this conversation with a coworker last week, and I was telling her,
you be doing a lot of talking at work, and y'all be doing
this guy right here. This guy right here, don't get it twisted, baby. This guy right here be working.
They're always gonna say he doing all the work and the rest of people's trash.
Listen, man. The numbers speak for themselves, baby. The numbers speak for themselves.
I'm always.
Yeah, them numbers speak for themselves, like to the point to where, and this goes even for me, and this is why, like I said, like with different classifications of man.
Messing with you. I know you be working. I know you for 13 years.
Because I take pride in being that guy. And so
all you jobs you've had over the last 13 years. It's okay.
Yeah. But like I was having this conversation with my coworker, and I was telling her, like, what a lot of people got to understand is that regardless of whatever the situation you found yourself in, and regardless of how it ended, you got to understand, and you got to see the role that you played in that situation. Because for some of us, you were an answered prayer. God, this person that you ended up with prayed, hey, God, can you deliver me, bring this person to me, and da 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 da. And God received what that person said and moves you into their life to answer a prayer. Now, that prayer may be valued, it may be appreciated, and the person received it well and honored it and did what they were supposed to do to cherish it and be respectful of the fact that God answered my prayer. Not all of us, because we're not always tapped in with our Creator. A lot of us don't necessarily understand and truly value when our prayers are answered. But the thing is, like when it comes down to things, there has to be a a humbling, on both sides, because at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you're both being mutually respected and you're both being mutually heard. But then also being able to allow the other person some grace and mercy, because like as you transition from one thing to another thing, it's like unique, talk to me about eating like vegan food. That would be something I would have to work up to. So like coming into contact or being in a relationship or courting a young lady who's used to being autonomous, used to, getting it how she gets it, being able to survive from day to day to day by herself. I, as the man, have to be understanding and provide emotional support to be able to give her that grace and mercy to be able to navigate in that space in order for her to allow herself to trust me. Because what most people have to understand, and this goes into the therapy part, life has a way of shaping our worldview. Our past experiences shape who we are now. Past experiences, good, bad, or indifferent, shape your thought process, shape how you interact with people, shape how you respond to things, shape how you engage with people. Like your past experiences all play a part in that. And so, as the man, when I am engaging in, say, I'm just speaking for myself, and I am engaging in a relationship with a young lady, part of that is being able to understand what made her be who she is today, and providing the emotional support for her to heal from that and to get past that. Because again, it's very easy for me to come in there and be like, I'm the man. This right here, I'm the man. So you do what I say. That's not going to get me anywhere. Right. But
it will. It's just gonna get you a quick ticket out her life and out her face.
Yeah, you're gonna find yourself by yourself. And so that's where, for me, like I said, leading with respect, leading with grace and mercy, and being open to receiving what she's telling me and being able to allow myself to be guided the same way I'm trying to guide her. Because as you alluded to earlier, Unique, you may have a better idea of how to get to the destination than me.
Right.
I may be the person that's driving the car, but you may have a better way of getting to the destination. And so for me as a man, I have to humble myself and be willing to allow my partner to step into that. And that's where
wait. But even bigger than just humbling yourself, you have to submit that this person has your best interest in mind.
Right.
Okay? Exactly. Like
this person has the absolute best for me.
Right.
When he just sent me a text and asked me to help him out with a task. Because my husband knows when my wife, when she gets it in her mind that it's happening, baby, nothing. I'm still a little linear. Some habits die hard. Okay, I've repurposed them for good though. Okay, repurposed it. But it was like you have you lock in. Yeah, I do. So my husband has. If he wants me to be on something, he's gonna give me all of the details.
Right.
And so tell me, baby, this is the deadline. This is what I need. And my husband knows without a shadow of a doubt, I'm going to make it happen.
Oh, yeah.
Every single time. Oh, and then don't let there be money on the line.
Right. Right.
We had a competition at his job, because I say we, because that's our job.
Yes.
We both get the benefits of said job.
Yep.
So we had a competition at his job. They said, decorate a pumpkin. He said, it's money on the line. I said, say less.
Say less.
And we came out number one, baby. Number one.
But see, this is the reason why people don't understand. Like, RJ, you alluded to it in previous episodes, man. I look at myself like an enterprise, man. Like, for real, I really like to have good people around me. I've had to learn that. I've had to really set it up, because I know On my corner, I need a go-getter to go do this. And in my other corner, I need someone who's good at doing this. I had to put those people around me. You know what I mean? I selected a mate that I knew she was one of them folks. She ain't going to sleep on no money. She going to get it. I can't run around with nobody who's always sleeping on some bread, or you know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying it's all about a hustle, but I need somebody with a similar mindset.
It is about the hustle, though. We hustle in life. If
Yeah,
you're not hustling in life, then what you doing?
right.
We can knock the street pharmacist, right? I
Mm-hmm.
think all of us have, in our various life experiences, have come across street pharmacists. And the thing that I really appreciate about the street pharmacist enterprise is what you're talking about, that ability to recognize talents quickly and to use them effectively.
Yes. Yes.
You know what? You're a runner. I
I mean,
can't put you on the corner because you gonna get our whole operation shut down. I need you to be able to you be able to transport.
back and forth, back and forth.
That's
'Cause
it. That's
you
all
can't
you
sit
doing.
still anyway. I already know you can't sit still anyway. Right.
You really
That's all you do. But
you're a sales person.
yes,
Okay.
right.
So when I need you to handle the product, I know you're gonna get top dollar and
You
you're
get
not
top dollar
settling
for the
for
product.
nothing else. You gonna get my product up. There are some people who are packagers.
Yeah.
They know, you know what? I can't put
Packaging
you
and
out there
handling.
to sell nothing. I can't have you running nothing because you're scary. You got to stay in the house.
In the house,
You got to
bag
package.
up. In the house, bag
You
up.
got
That's
to
what
put
you
it
do.
on the scale and you got to package it. Okay? And then you got some people who are just like the shipment. They gonna bring the product in, they gonna get the product to the operations manager. And see, we really
We put
underestimate
these titles on it, but for real,
we
look, like a business.
underestimate what's happening
We're
out here in these street pharmacies. The operations manager, right? They get the product and they make sure it's distributed
good
in a
on
way
time,
that's
on
gonna get
time.
on time, that's gonna get the highest amount of return on the investment. If we ran our relationships like that, we would see so much of a higher yield in the investment, which is a life together.
So
I
look,
told my
I'm
husband
gonna
right
speak
now we
on that.
got a marriage meeting coming up. We got a marriage meeting coming up.
And that's what it is. I'm gonna speak on that right now. Unique, you are so correct. When me and my wife, when we first got together, RJ knew that how we met. I would fight her back and forth when we first started dating. I'd be
Mm-hmm.
back and forth because you know what I'm saying. In my back of my mind, I was like, "You ain't running me," right? You know, that's just me being defensive from my previous relationships, right? And I let it spill over into our relationship. Once we finally settled down and we both were able to humble ourselves, we both were able to take constructive criticism. I know what she's good at, she knows what I'm good at. And we have these meetings. Like Unique said, it's a marriage meeting. When we come together, we plan stuff, we knock it out the park. We were like, we're going to get a house. Boom, we did it. We need another car. Boom, we did it. These are things that you have to do. You have to be able to sit down, and I've been able to take my pride down a few notches. That's all I had to do, and be able to see the things she's better at. She's very good at doing certain things, handling certain things. She needed to be able to have control to do that. Yes, ma'am.
So the like what you guys both spoke to is essentially, roles and responsibilities. When you are leading, and I had this very conversation with my supervisor at work. When you are leading people, you play into their strengths and you play out of their weaknesses.
Yes.
Only an idiotic leader would know that someone is deficient in an area and continue to allow them to be deficient. Because when you are a
Yeah.
team, we shore up each other's weaknesses and build upon each other's strengths. And so that's why, like I said before, we can't be the same person. If I'm the man, I can't find a woman that thinks like me. And the reason why is because what'll happen is because we both think alike,
The group.
we are never going to hey, that's not a good idea, don't do that. Hey,
Yeah.
that's not a
No.
good idea, don't do that. We both walk off the cliff. Somebody's got to be the voice of reason. When I'm hot, you can't be hot. When I'm on, you got to be off. When you're on, I got to be off. That's how it has to be, and that's how we have to work in tandem. And in that role of being able to, have the certain roles and responsibilities. It doesn't make, like Khalil said earlier, it doesn't make you less than to allow someone else to step into a leadership role in that moment. Because there's going to be things as a man that I'm going to be deficient in. And then it's like tag team wrestling, tag you in. So now you're the fresh man in. And then when you're deficient in that area, my guy, tag, you're in, and now I'm the fresh man in. And we have to be okay with that. We got to be okay with that, and we got to be willing to do that seamless transition, and also discuss the impact of the dynamic of the power dynamic change. We got to be able to discuss that, because again, like, we get caught up in just assigning the roles based off of gender. I want to be able to say that because you're the woman, this is what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And then because you're the man, this is what you're supposed to be doing. Now, for me, the way I was raised, like my father was raised and how his father before him was raised, is men, we got two primary responsibilities: provision and protection. Now, all the other responsibilities that fall underneath that umbrella, because that's a huge umbrella of providing provision and protection, there's a lot of things that come along with that. A lot of implied tasks versus the specified task of provision and protection. But being able to have that conversation, like Unique was talking about earlier on, the communication of being able to say, hey, I know I'm supposed to be responsible for this particular thing, but I ain't got it today, and this is why I ain't got it. And like she said, we. She used the term we. This is a we thing. This is our job. Right. When they're having a conversation at work, we had a conversation at work, because her and her husband, her and her partner in life, they make decisions together. And like she said, when it comes to having conversations and it comes to talking about things, when they sit down and they discuss things as peers, not as one person is subservient or less than the other person. And I think that is a very key dynamic that a lot of people miss when they discuss the whole submission conversation. There is
blind submission is different. Blind submission is completely different.
Blind submission is called passivity. And I wanted to bring that up. What we are talking about, we're not addressing passive, assertive, aggressive. Because I think you have aggressive leaders, you have passive leaders. What we're talking about is two assertive adults, right? And I am very intentional about the words I am using. Two intentional, assertive adults.
Notice you said adults.
Adult. My child will never be on the same power dynamic as me. She does not have the same ability to an agreeable nature as me. Now, I respect my child. I do. I give her full on respect that I give to anyone, adults included. I give her the same amount of respect. But she does not have the same responsibility.
The child can lead the household.
She just can't. Just like the child can never agree to engage in anything. Yeah, well, I have something to say about that. That's another podcast.
I've seen it.
Well, I think it's important to note the assertiveness is necessary for both parties, because even if you are in submission, you still have to be assertive. I've seen a lot of couples marriages go down the tubes because one or more of the partners was passive. Whether you're the passive leader or you're the passive person who's in submission, you never give your opinion. You're always trying to appease the other person. It builds resentment and it breeds contention.
Yes.
When you're both assertive, right? Even if you are in the position of submission, if you're assertive, you're saying, hey, this is the goal that we are looking to go towards. It doesn't seem like we're hitting our targets.
Right.
We're not meeting it in the way that we discussed.
We need to reassess.
Let's go back to the drawing board to reassess, to figure it out. And then the leader because if you had a passive leader with that, they would have taken the fence. They would have automatically jumped to, let me change it without any type of discussion because they don't like it. So I'm going to run and change it. No, an assertive adult leader says, let me consider what was said. Let's talk about what we have going on here and how do we meet our targets going forward? Because at the end of the day, I know that us getting there is largely up to me.
Mhm.
Not saying that if the marriage fails, it's up to you, because I think all members of the team and the marriage is
Right.
a team. If you don't like teamwork, don't get married.
Don't get married. There you
I
go.
said it. If you like being selfish, if you don't like teamwork, if you don't like partnership, working together, if you don't like talking to people about all of your plans, you
Ain't
don't
no,
like talking to people about how you spend your money, if you don't like talking to people about the
Right.
type of bed sheets you like, the thread count, don't get married. Which side you like? If you like your tissue on a certain side and it gets your goat and you never want to live with somebody who has their tissue on a different side,
Right.
please tell me you have not
because this is
had that conversation.
Whose tissue will end up on your side of the bed?
I don't have I don't have that conversation, but I've heard people be so adamant about stuff that's little, what we consider little things. When it's time to get a divorce, or when you hear people break up and you talking about this person, what were some of the things that you hated? Oh, they don't even do the tissue right. They just want to squeeze the toothpaste from the middle of the tube. They eat their cereal too loud. Don't nobody like Frosted Flakes? No way. You like, well, dang.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
But you talked about that earlier, right? So the resentments. Yeah.
It builds resentment.
Because you should have already talked about any of those things. You should have talked
So
about.
if you don't like those things, marriage is not for you, because in a marriage, I'm going to understand that my husband for the rest of my life is going to sleep diagonally. Do I like it? No. But I know that them feet gonna meet on my side.
Yeah.
And they never gonna meet on his side.
That's how
They
my
will
daughter
start
used to
off
sleep.
that way.
That's how my daughter used to sleep. I used to tell my ex-wife, I used to be like, look, she can't sleep in the bed because she end up sideways. Why you end up sideways?
That man's feet gonna end up on my side of the bed.
Because
And they gonna be touching.
you're trying to, like, for some people, they're the way that they're wired is they're trying to find magnetic north, and so people will actually turn in the bed trying to orientate themselves to north. That might
He
be why
probably
he's doing
does.
that.
He probably, because it don't matter.
Only
It don't
RJ would know
matter.
that information. Only RJ
Only
would know
him.
that. Yeah.
But in saying that, right? In saying that, in my marriage, I've had to learn that's not a point. It does not divert from the destination.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It is not an arguing point.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I'll be like, we're not starting off the night like that though. I'm hot. So until I cool down, I'm gonna need you to move your feet. And he's like, okay. Just remember that tomorrow with your icicles and don't touch me. I say, see,
See, now
you
you're not.
being spicy.
Now you're right. Now
You
you're
being
right.
spicy. I didn't ask you for all that. Tonight I'm hot. Tomorrow is a whole new day.
Ball game. Hold up, ball game.
So just consider, like, what, again, going back to your goal, I recognize, I look at my husband not just as a husband, but he is who's an integral part of my community. I went to go look at a building today for work, and I told my daughter, because this is our team. My daughter is a part of our team. My husband is a part of our team. It's like, you know what? I'm not going to go and explore this building by myself because it's dangerous. And my team, the person who leads our team, who is our protector and provider, would be upset if I go into this. I put myself in a dangerous situation that he, one, had no clue of,
Mm-hmm.
two, has no ability, because he's hurt, has no ability to protect or to provide,
Right.
right?
Right. Those two things
And
we talked about.
if we get hurt, yes, my husband will show up to the hospital or show up to the location wherever we are, but the frustration is going to be with me, because he's going to say, you did something, you never told me anything about it. Now I'm entering into a situation blindly.
Right.
Now I'm having to do something and provide resources that could have been reserved. We could have did this a different day. And I told my daughter, I said, I'm not willing to make that decision. Could I have gone in the building by myself? It was open. Yeah.
But
Okay.
but look how you thought that through. Look how you thought that through. You thought that through as a person in a relationship where you value the
Mm-hmm.
opinion of your
Of your
spouse,
of your leader.
of your leader, and you decided not to go on by yourself. Now that is a completely different type of submission. All right,
Mhm.
completely different type than what people are talking about. You know what I mean? And things, life is based on decision making. What you
Because
just said,
I wasn't
people
willing
don't
to risk the
about.
benefit of the team.
Yes. If you're working in a team, in a tandem, so people don't do that. They think just the same way you were saying, well, they just run off and do it, not let you know what's going on. People don't know where to find you. That's the type of stuff that makes people angry and makes people get in fights, right? That changes the
Mhm.
relationship dynamic because one, you're not communicating. Second, I don't know what's going on with you. You could be hurt and I can't provide or protect. Those are the type of things I wish people would talk about. You can't, that's disrespectful, but people don't see it like
Mhm.
that. I'm just
Mhm.
moving the way I always move. That's what I've always
Mhm.
done. That's why your ass to be always the same, and you'll be
Yeah,
alone.
we have gotten into some serious arguments because I am a go getter. I am gonna seize an opportunity, right? I'm not a fearful person by nature. I'm gonna just try it. I believe in trying things. But my husband said, "You need." I get that. You got to keep me clued in. This is something that I grew up. My parents would teach us this. At
Mhm.
any point, I grew up in Baltimore, Maryland. And no matter the time of day,
Baltimore.
somebody better listen. That's it. Say what I say. They got to know where you are, what you got on, and when you plan to be back. I don't care how old you get. To this day, if I'm leaving out of my location, of my house, if I'm going to another state, my parents know where I am or how I'm getting there. My whole family, not just my parents and siblings, know where I'm going, know what I'm going to do when I get there. My husband knows when I leave my house, babe, I'm headed out. If I'm going for a walk, babe, I'm going for a walk. This is what I
Right.
got on.
This is my
Because of
purpose of
that,
leaving.
if something happens to me, and I even told him I'm going the route I always take. If something happens, yes, my husband has my location. It
Right.
is not to check up on me. It is for safety reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Got that
If
application on, baby.
if if something happens, I let people know. I better make it home. Because if I don't, my husband's rolling up, and I feel sorry for anybody who stands in his way and does not have a good reason why he does not see me.
Right. And that's how it's supposed to be. And that's
Exactly,
how
and
it's supposed
and I like what both of you guys talked about in regards to the whole provision and protection thing. Like when you, like Unique said, if you're not looking to tell everything and not have any secrets, then a happy, healthy relationship is not for you. Because if you got to hide stuff, if you don't want people in your business, if you want people asking you a whole bunch of questions or you having to explain yourself to somebody, then being in a happy, healthy relationship is not for you. Everything we
That is
said
a
is
marriage.
for what, I mean, not even just a marriage, but just a happy, healthy relationship. Because you got to have a
Yeah,
relationship before you get to the marriage. If
yeah.
everything that we've said so far, if you have a problem with anything we told you in this hour we've been talking,
Stay by
then
yourself
stay by
to be.
yourself.
because you're dangerous.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
yeah. Because the thing
You're
about it though
dangerous.
is when especially for you as someone that is a part of this enterprise, a part of this business, as a part of this team. As the leader, I am responsible for you. And when you move separate, you do not give me the opportunity to provide protection for you. When I don't know where
Yep,
you're at, I don't know where to pull up at when you don't
yep,
come home.
yep.
And so like I've and that's where like one of the functions that we use at my job is called the scheduling calendar. So for the day, you set up your calendar for all the people you're
Hmm.
going to see. And of course, it adds additional work, but people get in their feelings about, well, why I got to do that? When? And it's
Because,
like, you got to do that because we go out into the community. We go out
yep.
into the community. Some of our clients don't live in the safest places. So when
Some of our
our
clients,
client,
they might not be the safest,
yep,
and
exactly.
they're
And
not taking
so
their meds.
So if by 5 o'clock, if you don't come back to this building, guess where? Guess what? I'm gonna pull up on all of these people that's on your calendar.
right.
Hmm.
Because at the end of the day, as someone that manages you or plays a part in managing you, I'm responsible for what happens to you, good, bad, or indifferent. And I don't want to have to explain to your people why you're not coming back home in the same condition that you arrived at work in. And
Hmm. Hmm.
people have to understand in regards to in regards to someone leading, because there's a, like people just get caught up in the submission part, not really taking into account what all goes into leading somebody. Because there are a lot of things that you sacrifice when you lead. There's a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of times where you have to sacrifice in order for the team to be successful. People don't see that part of it. But what they see is the fact that I have to give something up in order to allow this person to lead me, not understanding what comes along with leadership. And that's why not everyone is called to lead. That's why not everyone is expected to lead. Like some people, they're only expected to be followers, and then other people, like, my one of my supervisors, Maxie, she used to always laugh when I used to say this. There's two types of people. There's spears and there's spear chuckers. The spears are the people that you ask to do the things where you pick it up and you hurl it at somebody. And then you have the people like yourself, like I told her, you're a spear chucker. It's not your job to be doing all the tasks. Your job is to direct the spear and get it to where it's supposed to be going.
Right.
That is what happens when you are a part of a happy, healthy relationship where someone is directing and the other person is completing the task, or we are working. Go ahead.
What are you talking about? Completing the task that we're working on. I'll finish your thought for you. I think people, when they hear submission, they think that we're going back to that irrelevant, right? But I was just sitting here listening to what you were saying. The person, I'm going to use military experience. I don't have much. I don't have any. Let me put that out there. I don't have any. But I'm just thinking about how war works, right? And I want to equate it back to just a relationship. As the person who is in charge, the commanding officer, right? The commanding officer communicates whatever the mission is. It is the role of everybody else to make sure they have the commander's back. If I don't have the commander's back, and the commander gets hurt, then who leads?
Right.
In my marriage, I tell my husband, you don't ever have the option of looking halfway, because you're the representation of us. And as the representation of us, it makes it 10 times difficult when you're out here screwing up. That reputation comes back that the rest of the team is screwed up.
Right, the whole team.
I'm not going down like that. So you never have the option to have an off day and I not know about it. If something is wrong, I need to know about it. If you're sick, if you're mad, if you're angry, because when you are stepping outside of our house, representing our house, it comes back to me. I tell my husband, you can't wear whatever you want to wear. And some people are like, oh, you're controlling. I'm not controlling. My husband represents me just as much as I represent my husband. I don't go out. I don't go out looking like a tackhead. Why? Because I'm married. I represent this man. I don't go out wearing booty shorts. Why? Not because my husband tells me, you don't need to wear that. He loves when I look sexy. That's never my problem. My husband, he really likes when other men check me out. I don't have those issues. What my husband doesn't want me to do is be in a position where, one, it brings shame to him, or it puts me in a dangerous situation. And I tell my husband the same. I say, you may be a man. You may be able to defend yourself against anything and anybody else. But when you leave this house, everything from the top of your head to the sole of your foot must be intact, because you represent me. You represent our team. You represent our family. And I don't want anybody to question the type of man and the type of leader you are by a simple glance. You can't tell people off. You can't tell people off as the leader. You know why? Because they make assumptions about the rest of the team when you do that.
You're cool.
I might be able to go out here and fly off the handle a little bit more than he does, but you don't get to do that. So many times I will pull my husband back. Don't you say nothing. Let me get him.
Right.
Let me get him. And it could be his words. You better let me fuss him out.
Right.
But then there'll be times when my husband tells me, you better not say nothing. It's not because my husband's trying to control me. It's because you're gonna attack them, and then if they say something to you, I'm going to get up.
Right.
There
Because
was a situation.
protection.
There was a situation at church. There was a situation at my church, and I was qualified to handle the situation. I stepped in to handle the situation. The situation got a little crazy. I knew that the situation was getting crazy when I saw my husband stand up. When my husband stood up, I said, "Oh, I'm done because see what y'all, I might have the poise to handle this, but he don't. He
Mm-hmm.
gonna throw that spear and it's
Right.
gonna hit the target."
I'm gonna let the spear go. I'm gonna let the
I'm like,
spear go.
the time for me to talk has ended.
Mm-hmm.
But I told my husband, he'd be like, "Oh, you doing too much, babe." Don't. I said, "No, because you, as the leader, it's my job to have your back, to have your side, and make sure nothing's gonna hurt you. Because if I got to step up, it's not gonna be nice. I'm not asking all those questions.
Right.
I'm the logistics person. I'm figuring out how to get the job done
Gotta
in the
get it
quickest
done.
way possible. My
Right.
husband, he gonna come with the finesse. He's going, oh, well, Nick, let's hear him out. I'm not hearing nothing out. I'm not hearing nothing out. I'm going straight to the goal.
You're not going to the table no more.
And
Table
unless you,
off the table.
unless you are running me a check and it's under my business name, Good Health Practices, baby, that discussion ain't happening. When it comes to my family, nah, it's decided. So that's why I tell me, bro, you as a submissive wife, I love that we have rebranded house manager, like the stay-at-home wife. I love how the internet has really rebranded that to house manager, to housekeeper, because I think that is a more defined, even the stay-at-home husband. I think that defines the term of what it is. I am the caretaker of our space. And so this person allows me to be able to do that in an effective manner
Mm-hmm.
without too many interruptions. Ain't nobody coming in my house telling me how to do nothing but my husband.
Right.
And that's because he's going to care about how the whole house runs. He's going to care about, am I providing an atmosphere for my wife to do what she does best, and that's manage us.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't give me much. He doesn't give me much flack about it. If I go and buy something, he'll be like, "Was that in the budget?" It was. That's the conversation. So I think there's just, all I'm saying is there's value to being in the position of submission because you have so much power to execute how life works. As a wife, I'm speaking as a wife. I have power over the logistical aspects of my team because it's not just me and my husband. So we have a kid and we have dogs. I have power and control that my husband trusts. Unique is gonna make this thing work and it's gonna be right. He can go off to work. He don't gotta think about that. He know he's gonna come home to a good meal. Now there are times when I say, "Hey, logistically, I'm not able to provide this meal, so it's on you, big fella." Because remember, you protect and provide.
Right.
So,
Today you
big
got it.
fella, I'm
Right.
throwing it up. If you would take it, and he handled it.
But you see how easily the roles can reverse, and look, you
Mm-hmm.
still know your husband is the provider. There's
Mm-hmm.
no confusion in that, right? And so I want people who are listening to this to understand that it was a smooth transition back and forth. They're not
Yeah.
fighting over this. It
Mm-mm.
shouldn't be a fight. It doesn't have to be a fight if you have this type of knowledge and you try to apply what you know. I don't understand why people want to fight for this. This is not something that
It took time. I'm gonna say that it did not start that way.
right.
It did not. It started, but we had to learn in order for us to work together, right? I gotta be willing to sit on that passenger seat and
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
not be a passenger princess, right?
Mm-hmm.
Be like what the old term was called shotgun. I'm riding
My
shotgun.
God.
The job of the person who was riding shotgun was to literally shoot anything,
Right.
shoot all the target.
Yeah.
You was to shoot anything that was harmful to you reaching your mission. So In my marriage, I get to ride shotgun. My job is just as vital as us getting to the target. Baby, I'm knocking down any and everything that's coming against my marriage, girls included. Huh? You just gonna have to be taken out.
You see, she's shooting you down.
She's a
Hey, she's
oh
trying
my
to tell
gosh.
y'all. I'm having them Baltimore folk. Hey,
I'm just saying, but it's got to be family, kids, outside influence. I tell them we don't have separate friends anymore. These are our friends.
right.
And that was a sore point in our marriage. We just gonna have to. There should not be any person that you know that talks to you regularly that doesn't know my position
And
in your
don't
life.
mess with you. And don't mess with you. Because anybody that mess with me got to mess with you. Because you and me together. That's how that goes.
I need not be surprised for somebody saying, you telling me, oh, this person has offended me, and I'm surprised that this person existed. Well, why is there someone
Right.
existing that I don't know of? Because I can't protect you as the leader if I don't know the threats.
Right.
Yep.
Mm,
Absolutely.
come on now. Hey,
So you just got to mitigate liability at all costs.
y'all are dropping some knowledge, man. Y'all dropped some knowledge today. Come on, man. We at this point, I'm look. Are we shutting it down? Are we?
Yeah.
What we doing? Y'all killed it. I'm
So
finna get me a book on this.
here you
He
go,
just wrote a book.
be extra.
Hey, look, she just wrote a book. RJ playing. Look, I'm about to go ahead and record this and then put it out as a book.
So we're gonna end the conversation there. This is Try Not to Overthink It signing out. I'm RJ.
I'm unique.
And I'm Khalil.
If you like what you heard or like what you saw, we ask that you stop by the YouTube channel. We can be found on YouTube as Try Not to Overthink It. We ask if you stop by the channel, you like, share, subscribe, turn your notifications on because we drop content every week and you never know what we're going to talk about next. If you would prefer to listen to us, I don't know why you would, because we are very good looking people and you miss out on the facial expressions and the antics when you just listen to us instead of just watch us. But, if you happen to listen to us, we can be found on Audible, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, pretty much everywhere that you can get your audio files from, we can be located. This is us signing out, and we will catch you next time. Peace.